Hello everyone, I am Mrs. Beck, and today I'm going to help you with adding rational numbers. Now the rule for adding numbers with the same sign states, to add two numbers with the same sign, we add their absolute values. The sum has the same sign as the addends. So if I'm adding 2 plus 6, I'm going to add together their absolute values. Well, the absolute value of 2 is 2, and the absolute value of 6 is 6. I add them together. 2 plus 6 gives me 8. Now I'm going to assign my sum the same sign as my addends. The two addends here are both positive, so therefore my answer is going to be positive. So a positive 2 plus a positive 6 gives me a positive 8. If I'm adding together a negative 2 plus a negative 6, again I add together the absolute values. The absolute value of a negative 2 is 2. Plus the absolute value of a negative 6 is 6. So 2 plus 6 gives me 8. Now I'm going to assign the sum the same sign as my addends. Well, both of my addends are both negative, so therefore my answer is going to be negative. A negative 2 plus a negative 6 gives me a negative 8. So therefore, when I'm adding together two positive numbers, I'm going to get a positive sum. When I'm adding together two negative numbers, I'm going to get a negative sum. Alright, you guys, let's look at adding numbers with different signs. To add two numbers with different signs, we find the difference of their absolute values. The sum has the same sign as the addend with the greater absolute value. So, if I'm adding a negative 2 plus a positive 6, again, I'm going to take the difference of their absolute values. The absolute value of a negative 2 is 2, and the absolute value of a positive 6 is 6. The difference between 2 and 6 is 4. So therefore, I'm going to assign this number the same sign as the addend with the greater absolute value. This is the greater absolute value here, and it's positive. So therefore, I can say that this difference here of 4 is going to be positive. So negative 2 plus 6 is equal to 4. So when I'm adding two numbers and with different signs and the greater absolute value is positive, I'm going to have a positive answer. Okay, you guys, if I'm adding 2 plus negative 6, again, I take the difference of the two numbers, the absolute values of the two numbers. The absolute value of 2 is 2, and the absolute value of a negative 6 is 6, and the difference between the two is 4. Now I'm going to assign this number the same sign as the addend with the greater absolute value, and that's going to be right here. This negative 6 is going to give us a negative for our sum right here. So I'm going to have a negative 4. So if my addend with the greater absolute value is negative, I'm going to have a negative answer. Okay, you guys, let's try some more examples. Right here for letter A, I am adding negative 6 plus negative 7. Now again, when I'm adding two numbers with the same sign, and in this case they're both negative, I'm going to have a negative answer. I'm going to take the absolute values of both these numbers and add them together. The absolute value of a negative 6 is 6. The absolute value of a negative 7 is 7. 6 plus 7 gives us 13. And because they're both negative, I'm going to have a negative sum. Alright, you guys, I want you to try letter B and letter C on your own, and then hit continue when you're ready. Okay, you guys, let's see how well you did. For letter B, we have 1.2 plus a negative 2.7. Now, because they're different signs, we need to take the difference between the two numbers, their absolute values. So the difference of the absolute value of 1.2 is 1.2, and the absolute value of a negative 2.7 is 2.7. And the difference between the two will give us 1.5. Now I'm going to assign this number right here the same sign as the number with the greater, or the addend with the greater absolute value, and that's this one right here, so it's going to be negative. So 1.2 plus a negative 2.7 will give us a negative 1.5. For letter C right here, because they're different signs, again, I'm going to take the difference of the two numbers, their absolute values. So the absolute value of a negative 4 is 4, and the absolute value of 8 is 8. The difference between 4 and 8 is 4. I'm going to assign this number the same sign as the addend with the greater absolute value, and that's this positive 8 here, so I'm going to have a positive answer, and that's going to be 4. Negative 4 plus a positive 8 gives me a positive 4. Okay, you guys, I hope this has helped you with adding rational numbers. Have a great day.